with the, like, attempting to snap because my mother-in-law's boyfriend was, like, coming near her when we were all, like, sitting.
What happened?
So we were sitting like this outside. She was sitting next to me. He was laying down, right? And he just came in from the inside, and he will like lean over and like to give her a kiss, and he like gets really possessive about her.
I got you.
And so it all happened so fast, but I had him on the leash, and so I grabbed him and I said no, and I tapped it. And he backed off, like he didn't continue to go for it. I didn't have to continue anything. He kind of just like cowered back towards me and laid down.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you caught it, you corrected for it, and that's good.
Yeah.
So cool. And that was it?
Yeah,
nothing else after that?
Yeah. The
Sounds
car
positive.
ride was really nice. He stayed in the backseat, he laid down. I only had to correct him a couple times. We're trying to get into the front.
Yep.
But he's been doing really well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Have you had any issues with anything lately?
No, but we were gonna work on handling. So I did bring his brushes.
Yep.
And like his special brush. So I haven't like tried to do
Special brush?
Yeah, so it's called the
Look at that
thing.
thing. Thing looks serious.
It works wonderful.
Okay.
For his undercoat.
Cool.
But yeah, no, he seems a lot more like relaxed, like confident inside the house. He's more relaxed on walks, so it's enjoyable.
Clear expectations. That's what this is, you know, like humans, animals, everybody just wants to know what the rules are, you know? So it's like once we apply the rules, you know, regardless of how we're doing so, you know, it's counterintuitive because like I think you may have even asked like session 1 or something like that, you know, like how is this going to make him more, you know what I mean? Like how is correcting him for things and setting boundaries and stuff going to make him more confident? But it's just clear expectation. That's all it is. There's no more guessing going on in his head because that's really where the stress is coming from. So cool.
And we had no issues getting him into the kennel.
Yep.
My mother-in-law says that was a big problem.
Yep.
So one time I did it with the leash, just carried him in, and then I didn't have the collar on him at night, and I was like, okay, you're gonna go in your kennel. So I commanded him to come.
Yep.
I walked him over to the kennel and I said bed, and he went right in.
Yeah.
And there was no problem.
That's awesome.
And so he was doing that consistently throughout the weekend, like with or without the collar on. So.
Yep. All right. Sweet. Well, let me grab a muzzle real quick, and then we'll get cruising on some stuff. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over brushing, general handling, nails, all that good stuff. So I'm gonna start with nails here. So obviously the muzzle obviously is just so that we could be more non-responsive to if he does give us any sort of a hard time with it or anything like that. I'll take it. A lot of times for this kind of stuff, there's not a whole lot of corrections involved. It's just a matter of showing him that if he does have any outbursts, that it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's really the key with it. So all I'm gonna do here is just start off by just grabbing the paws, interacting a little bit, seeing if he gives me much of a fight. We know his kind of typical default go-to is this like freeze, you know, tense up and freeze, right? So I don't anticipate he's gonna really throw a huge fit, but I think that if it builds up enough, that's where we might start seeing the snapping. So turn the Dremel on. And all I care about right now is I can just start to get him used to this sensation. If he starts moving away, again, no big deal. Just gonna kind of continue working through it. Good work, buddy. Good work. All right. Nails are done. That wasn't too bad.
I think he's only not reacting well because he's stone cold nervous and he
right.
that on and he's confused.
So the muzzle's interesting because it gives us the leverage to be able to like do this stuff without worrying about it, you know? So like even if that's the case, even if it's just he knows he doesn't get away with anything here, which is why he's being good, what it's gonna allow you to do is at home when you start doing this stuff, go into it, have him try all of his typical antics, and have him realize it just doesn't work, you know, so that he could then get to that state of mind where he allows you to just do this. So, all right, I'll take those from you. Now, he doesn't currently let you do this at all, or what?
So it's like hit or miss. This area, much better. Like if I used to bring that around now, he's like, no.
Yeah.
But I like need to do it.
Yeah.
And mostly actually how I groom him is I hand strip him, which he'll let me do. He just sits on my lap and then hand strip him, but he doesn't let me touch his butt.
Yeah.
Or this whole back area where you're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have to muzzle him just to do it every time, I'm okay doing that.
Oh yeah. And a lot of times initially, that's the easiest way to do it, you know? It's like we have a way where we could do this safely, where we know we're no longer gonna need to reinforce the behavior. And what I mean by that is, you know, if we don't have the muzzle on, the problem is even if he's good 90% of the time, if he tries it once and then we stop, it tells him that works, you know? The muzzle ensures that we don't ever run into that, which allows us to remove the reinforcement, which then decreases the behavior.
So do you ever see though that they like start to resent the muzzle, like they know what's coming, and they just like
no, I mean,
snap at you when you try and put it on?
No, not typically, you know. Because over time they start to realize as we do this, it's really not that bad, you know. It'd be a different story if the muzzle predicted something actually really bad happening, you know, something that was super painful or, you know, actually super scary or something like that. But this is all right now just perceived fear to him, you know. He's created in his head this picture that this is scary, but every time this happens and nothing scary actually happens, it kind of starts to decrease that a little bit. So we'll see some dogs that start like this where he's kind of freaking out, right? And then we'll see over the course of a couple of sessions of doing this that it completely goes away. You know, they start to just loosen up and not care as much. And we see it primarily with nails. Like a lot of the dogs that come here for training are just, for whatever reason, just god awful with having their nails done, you know? And the first time is always this massive fight, you know? Second time is usually them just kind of freaking out but not fighting quite as much. And then third time they're just like, okay, well I guess this is just happening and it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, like he'll usually let me do one or two and then he'll like snap at me.
Yep.
Like, okay, well, we're done.
Sure.
I'm gonna put myself in this position.
Yep. And that's just it, right? And every time that happens, it tells them that worked.
Yeah. I can't wait to get those butt mats out.
Yeah, right.
I'm waiting. Because I have scissors too and I have to try, but the mats are really easy because I can just pull them. So that's how his hair comes out is by doing the yanking.
So I'll just do a little bit of this and I'll have you do some of it and we'll just kind of do a bunch of this today.
I mean, have you seen this before where you put the muzzle on and they don't snap at all?
Yeah, I mean, he gave me a little bit of a hard time with the nails, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, this is fine. A lot of times at this point though, like we've worked through so much of the nonsense in other ways, you know? And it all kind of correlates to each other, you know? You know, when he gave us a fight with the walking or with the downs or the beds or this or that, and we worked through all those, in his mind, he knows because we've established this relationship with each other where I'm going to give him good guidance and stuff, but I'm also not going to take the antics. It tends to just bleed into everything.
Yeah.
He looks really good. I mean, he's doing great. Grooming related stuff, you just want to pick up a muzzle for him.
Okay.
So that's going to allow you to be able to do, you know, any sort of handling related things that you may need to with him and just not need to worry about it, you know, just get the job done and just be past it kind of thing, you know. Also things like if you're concerned about if you need to find a new, like obviously moving, finding a new vet, groomers, things like that, you know, it's one of those things you can just throw it on just to feel extra comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so he looks really good. So I think, let me see. All right, so we're going to show you how we're using obviously our reinforcement here to teach further stability in the position here. So what I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to put him into it, down. Good. And to test this position, I want to make sure that if I move this leash around a little bit and he feels that leash slide around under him, not necessarily pulling the collar, just kind of move around under him, I want to make sure that he holds position. Good. 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 Okay.
How's everything going?
Good, everything will be great.
Cool, they look good.
Okay.
And then she runs into the playroom and does her business.
Okay. And does she typically do it? Does she typically do it after you leave the house? Like as far as having the accident in the house?
Well, I don't leave the house, but I go upstairs.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's typical. Okay. And do you have any idea about how long after you go upstairs to work that she does it?
It's like 5 minutes.
Literally like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So here would be my recommendation, right? Whenever you hit a point where you're like, all right, I gotta go upstairs, I gotta start working, right?
Yeah.
You have kind of two options, right? So option one would be just take her up with you for a couple minutes, right? And then have her on the leash next to you so she can't sneak off or anything. And in 20, 30 minutes, run her outside one more time, see if she's got to go, you know? Option two, stick her in the crate and instruct whoever it is that's watching her. In 30 minutes, you got to take her outside, and she cannot be out of this crate until she goes outside.
Okay.
Right? So basically, we're teaching the concept of she is earning her freedom out in the house by going outside.
Got it.
Right? Because the crate is cool because obviously, typically speaking, dogs won't go in it. Right? So that's our best potty training tool that we have. You know? Okay. So one of those things, because it's happening very shortly after, which means that she's got to go. Right? The problem is she's just waiting for that opportunity that she could sneak off and go do it over there. And you're doing a really good job of being diligent about keeping the eyes on her so she can't do that. The problem is once you kind of go upstairs, you know, the supervision isn't as good, right? So, which is fine, I get it, right? Everybody else has got other things they need to do, I'm sure, right? So that's where we got to use the crate to our advantage, right? If she hasn't gone at that point yet, you got to go in here until you go, you know?
Also, one of the other things we've noticed is that she's barking a lot more, with like people coming in the house that she didn't used to.
Yep.
And it's like, sometimes it's family members that she knows.
Yep.
So, but also we've had some like landscapers over and like service to our house outside that she'll start barking at people, which I don't care about that. The people coming in the house, it just seems to be like a new thing.
Yep. Does it persist a lot? Like the person come in and is like yapping for 5 minutes or like?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, and then she'll like kind of warm up, so it's not like incessant, like it doesn't stop.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. So ultimately, things like that, those are going to be discipline-based things, right? So a lot of times what I'll do with those types of things is I figure out what is my dog motivated by as far as a consequence, right? Because we need to start being able to apply consequence for these types of things. And one thing you said, like with the landscapers and stuff, you don't care if she's barking at those things. I would nix all of it, because if you allow it certain places and then correct for it in other places, it becomes confusing to them, you know? And I'm just not a believer in general that my dog needs to be like being defensive over anything on the property. You know what I mean? Especially not a dog her size, right? She's not our guard dog, unfortunately. So I would correct for it everywhere that you see it. And you have a couple different options, right? So your leash and prong collar, right? Let's say we saw her yipping, yapping at something like that, like we have a guest coming over. I could tell her no and give a firm pop on that, and that could be a deterrent. Have we ever talked about the pet corrector?
Yeah, we have it.
Oh, you do?
Because she was doing all the mouthing.
Yep. And you said that worked pretty quick for that, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. I would start implementing the pet corrector for it.
Okay.
Same concept, right? Let's say the pet corrector is sitting over there, right? And she starts freaking out because somebody walks in the door. Tell her no. Go get your pet corrector, right? Go find her. Give a spray for it, right?
Even if she's done?
Yep, because our no marker attaches our consequence to our behavior, right? Because you're not going to have that thing in your hand at all times. And the problem is we don't want to bluff our no's, right? We don't want to just interrupt the behavior. We want the behavior to go away, right? So if we say no and she stops because she knows typically this correction comes after, that's bluffing our no, and that's just interrupting the behavior. That's not doing anything to say next time don't do it, because the consequence does still come, you know?
That makes sense.
So.
When I was training her this past week, I will say that the bed thing was not going very well. Because, so she's got her crate, but then we also have another like bed in the living room.
Yep.
And I purposely didn't move it so that it was in the same spot that it normally is.
Yep.
And she was like really hesitant to like jump up on it. It's not like a...
I gotcha.
It's like a cushion now.
Just a plush one.
Yeah. And I got her on it, but she was fighting it like every single time.
Okay, I gotcha. All right, well, so the barking, stuff like that, you're gonna address it with a pet corrector.
Yep.
The potty stuff, you just gotta use the crate until she goes, right? And that should seal the deal. Is it primarily just in the morning you have the problem?
Not really, no. I mean, that's usually when she goes.
Okay.
And she doesn't seem to go later in the day, so.
Okay.
And we're all pretty good about getting her out to pee. So that has been really good. Like, I haven't noticed many accidents at all. And it's just the other one.
Well, here's the thing. If we're assuming she's going 2 times a day, right, with it, If we can get that morning one in check, that's going to at least start to shape the habit, right? Then you would apply the same concept in the evening after you fed her dinner, right? So once you feed her dinner, again, take a mental note how long it was breakfast, from breakfast time to when she goes outside typically is it, say 45 minutes, an hour, whatever. And at that point, after you feed your breakfast, you guys can hang out with her and stuff, but if you can't supervise her, she's got to go in the crate until she goes outside, right? And that will help with that. So, okay, cool. Let's see what we can get here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Can't go back to dad. Yeah, this is much better.
Yeah.
Good job. Come on.
I had kind of mixed results with the sit. Like I still had to kind of a bit.
We're not fully expecting she's going to respond to verbal just yet here. I just want to see all the leash pressure smooth, you know. If I need to get her in position, that it doesn't take a ton of pressure to get her to get into it. Nice. Come on. Good job. Come on. Good. Come on. Very good. So any sort of little hurdles like this we could find, something she's scared of that we kind of work her past. These are great confidence building exercises. Saw how resistant she was of it, and then she's like, oh wow, I can do this, right? Come on. And then in some cases it starts to kind of become like a game to them.
Yeah.
Nice. One more, come on. Nice. I mean, you see a total difference, obviously. Okay, so what we're gonna do next here is we're gonna start generalizing this. So I'm gonna work the same drill just on this bed. So I'll take the leash. Come on. Bed. Good. Now it's a huge jump. Huge jump. Good. And you can tell that mark's starting to condition itself because the second she hears it, kind of snapping her to attention and prediction of the reward, which is exactly what we want, right? That way we could use it to stabilize that position further. You know, if she, like I said, if she seems really distracted by something over there, but she does it correctly, I can mark right away, and that'll solidify in her mind that she's doing the correct thing. Good. Good. So add some different distractions in. Obviously something like this is gonna be a lot harder for her, so just I'm increasing the frequency of those rewards. Good. It's like, what the heck is that then? Good. Good. Okay. Come on. Let's go. So last thing I want to do with her here, so I want to start to get her acclimated to having her nails messed with and stuff. They're looking pretty long and sharp here, and we haven't done any handling stuff, so we're going to do a little bit of that here. Doing pretty good, girl. Come on. Let's go. So pretty straightforward for this. All I want to do is just get her used to having her paws kind of restrained. You could tell, obviously, she doesn't like it a whole lot right off the rip. So we're just going to kind of do it. I try to just let them work through some of this nonsense initially. And again, back to what we talked about a couple sessions ago with the resorting to the biting, you know. These are all really, really important lessons for them to work through at a young age when it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Good. And once she does well with it, again, we'd mark with good and reward. So same deal, grabbing the paw, restraining, letting her work through some of this nonsense initially. Good. Once she stops, that's where we mark with good. And I start off just like this, seeing how much of this I can work through just doing this type of drill, right? If it continues to persist, obviously we would add in a correction for that, but sometimes you can get away with just kind of waiting them out. Good. There you go. It wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. So next session, we'll work a little more with that. Obviously, if she keeps with the biting, we'll just correct for it, no big deal. But she's de-escalating a little bit with it. A lot of this is just, she's just the first time she's getting used to some of this handling, you know. A lot of people will do like, they'll be like, oh yeah, well I touched their paws or this or that. And I always say it's not so much about touching the paws, it's really the restraining, you know. It's like when they start feeling that they're trapped, that's when they start kind of really escalating with that. So just kind of getting her used to that little by little, just like we're doing here now. And you see she's starting to kind of inhibit that behavior just a little bit.
Yeah, I loathe trimming dogs' nails.
It's a pain in the ass.
I've never been good at it. We always had the vet do it. And
yeah.
The last visit she had to the vet, we had her do it, which was only a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. They grow quite a bit when they're young like this, so. The only thing you got to be careful about with having them done at the vet in some cases is that because that's not obviously the vet's primary job, right? A lot of times when owners like ask the vet like, hey, can you trim the nails? They just try to get it done as quick as they can, obviously, you know? And what happens is they could rush the process a little bit. If they accidentally cut one of them too short, it'll totally derail you and stuff. So I would like to get her to a place where either you guys can do them yourselves, or you could just have like the groomer or something like that do them, where it's going to make sure that we're moving her in the right direction. Yeah, and listen, once we get her to a place where it's going to be really easy with it, it'll take you just a minute or so, you know, because really this is the next step, is starting to get her used to that, you know. Yeah. I know, it's awful, it's so scary. Okay, you're good. She looks great though. That was like 10,000 times better than even last time. She looks really good. Her attitude is starting to get much better with things, so I'm pretty pleased with all of that.
Cool.
On walks in the house.
Mostly in the house when she plays with the other dogs. She likes to bite.
She likes to...
Remember how we talked last time?
She likes to nibble.
Okay.
Her brother especially,
Okay.
her, and the other animals. I mean, she'll jump around, but then she'll play fight, and I believe she goes a little too hard.
She also jumped on me this afternoon after I took a shower.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, jumping is the other thing.
Yeah, okay. Well, like the play biting and stuff like that, of the other animals, you're talking about, as far as animals, you're talking about all dogs, right? You're not talking about the cat, right? Okay, all right. How do the other dogs respond?
Ronan and Charlotte, we keep their muzzles on still for safety reasons.
Charlotte will.
We'll put her in her place.
Yep.
Ronan's very distant.
But
He's afraid he's gonna hurt her.
But if he knows if he needs to put her in her place, he will.
And when you say put her in her place, you mean that they will correct Ari, right?
Yes.
Correct.
And how does Ari respond to that? She goes away
She goes away.
and stops. Okay.
Yeah, she stops.
Yeah.
And she'll go play with her brother.
Yeah.
Continues play biting.
Yeah. And when she's play biting with her brother, I think we're almost to every single dog. How does her brother respond?
He tries to get away.
He tries to get away.
He does, but then he also goes back at her too.
With play biting back?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I think it's a mutual scenario.
Yeah,
though.
there's nothing major, like she's not
Yeah.
hurting.
Yeah, you know what it sounds like is just a non-problem, honestly. It sounds like the dogs are communicating for themselves as far as Ronan and Charlotte is concerned. When they don't want her to do something, they're communicating via a correction. It sounds like Ari is taking the cue and going away and stopping, which is wonderful. So,
The other three, like Ronan, Charlotte, and Hope,
yeah,
they'll rather just be out and just lay there.
yeah.
And then when they're out, she's bouncing off the wall.
Hope
She's like,
and Charlotte are more of the alpha females.
Okay.
Because for some reason, our house likes to have two alphas. It was Hope and Allie when Allie was alive. And then they're trying to put her in her place. Both of them.
Okay, let's focus more on the behavior and not like the stuff that
No, you're right.
Yeah.
And they're both trying to get her
just calm down.
to calm down.
And how are they going about doing that behavior-wise? What are they doing?
They nudge her, they physically push her.
Yeah.
They have to try to get them to break up, stop doing what she's doing,
Yeah.
etc.
Again, that all sounds like play behavior.
Yeah.
If they want her to stop, they will give a correction, a growl, a snap, similar to the things that I think you said Ronan does.
Yeah.
They'll let her know. And where it will become a problem is if they start to give her those corrections, those types of signals, real signals, not nudging and stuff like that, but real signals, and she's not stopping. That would be an issue, but it sounds like they're communicating just fine, and maybe that the other dog doesn't, he probably likes it a little bit more than you think, just based off of what you're telling me.
One of the other things I do want for her, for sure, she likes to eat trees.
Yes.
Eat trees.
Trees.
Trees?
Trees.
Okay.
And branches.
Branches, rose bushes. Yeah.
Okay.
She's still a puppy, so she's.
All right, well, I tell you what, a lot of the stuff you're talking about that we're trying to address are like nuisance behaviors. We can pick one today if you like. I would recommend the jumping. What do you think? Is there something else that gets on your nerves more than the jumping? I think jumping's a good start if we're gonna pick one.
I think jumping would be a great start.
Yeah. Yeah, judging by the scratch on your leg,
That was,
We might wanna
only
check that.
because Luke came out, and I don't wear shorts all that often.
Gotcha. Okay, so what we're gonna do today is we're gonna work on the bed command inside, so you have a little bit more control inside. So if you need to, switch her from the play window to the rest window, give her a timeout, you'll have the ability to do that pretty well. So we'll work on the bed command, and at the end of the session, we'll talk about nixing that jumping. Okay? Why don't we go across the street? You can follow me. Come on, Ari. How you doing? Come on. Bed. Good. All right. So we're going to learn a couple things today. One, rule of thumb, anytime we ever use a verbal command, we always give a courtesy 2 seconds. because we want to give the dog a chance to do it on their own. And if we rush too quickly into using our corrections, our leash pressure and stuff like that, we're really not giving them a chance to kind of work out and process what we're saying. The other thing we're going to start to do is, and I think you guys already know that with Ronan and Charlotte, is we're going to start the single tap correction method today. And that's 3 parts. Number 1, we say no. Number 2, we tap. Number 3, we repeat the command. And what that does is it corrects the dog for not doing or breaking the command, but it also makes sure that the dog has to go back to doing it. So if we did one without the other, there would still be some success. For example, if the dog got out of the bed, we said no and tapped, but didn't put it back in, it would just learn that all it had to do is eat the correction and it can get out of whatever it wanted to get out of. Or if we didn't correct but we walked the dog back to the bed, basically there wouldn't be a whole lot of motivation to stay in the bed because nothing happens when it gets out, even though it has to go back. No big deal. Okay? So I'm going to start using that single tap correction method now. Bed. Good. So right now I'm just watching, no. I'm watching for one paw, bed. Watching for one paw to step out. That's what happened, so I marked that with a no. I tapped, and then I said bed. And like a good girl, she went right back. Well, that's okay, no worries. I think we're gonna see a little bit of a different, yeah, a little bit of a different response. Just getting all those wrinkles ironed out. Okay. All right. Any questions about anything we went over today as far as the bed command goes?
No.
Okay.
No, I do that with Ronan and Charlotte if I need them down.
Cool.
I was actually loving on her.
Which brings me to my next topic. Let's talk about our first nuisance behavior. So we're going to pick one nuisance behavior, we're going to get it out of the way, and we'll move on. So we're picking jumping this week. I highly recommend you just nip it in the bud by just going up to 100. What I would do instead of waiting for it to randomly happen, I would try to set her up for it so you can just get it out of the way. Because if you wait for it to randomly happen, you're probably not going to be prepared. You may not have the e-collar in your hand. If you do have the e-collar in your hand, the remote that is, you may not have it up at a meaningful level. So just set her up for it, turn the e-collar to 100 and just get it out of the way. And what you want to do is you want to wait for the moment the paws make contact with the human. So wherever that may be. But try not to jump the gun. I know you guys are going to be really good about this, especially since you're very patient about waiting for the paw to touch the ground. Same deal. If she's jumping up and she hasn't made contact with the human yet, paw-wise, she's not going to know why you're correcting her. She may think it's because she's jumping, which would be crazy to her. So you got to wait for the paw to make contact with the human and just turn it up to 100 and get it out of the way. There's a certain level of kindness in working at a higher level to get something like that out of the way. A nuisance like that kind of prevents the potential of harmony that we could have in our relationship. But let's say, for example, my dog has a nuisance behavior like jumping, and I correct her at a 25 literally every single day of the year. You can kind of add that up, as opposed to if I did it twice on 100 and getting it out of the way. It's a lot kinder and a lot quicker. So just get it out of the way.
My thing is that when she becomes that 100 plus pounds, I don't want her knocking someone over.
Bingo.
Because I have a disabled father.
Bingo. Yep. So how are you guys going to set it up? What situation can she, it seems like she doesn't need much to jump right now, so, but how are you guys going to set it up?
It's not more that I want her to, I mean, like right now she's jumping on furniture, and that's what's driving me up.
No.
Is she not allowed on the furniture?
Not really.
Okay.
There's one couch she is allowed on. In our entire house. That's it.
Yeah. So keep in mind that dogs' minds are binary. They don't understand like exceptions to things. It's black, white, yes, no. There's no maybes. So either she's allowed on the couch or she's not.
No couches at all?
Okay.
Now, there is somewhere in the middle. What you can do is you can take it completely away, right, for a couple weeks, or at least until you see that she's given up, she's realized, yep, this is mom and dad's furniture. And once she starts to understand that it's yours, then what you can start to do is just kind of make it like an unofficial command where she kind of looks to you for permission, and what you can do is say, okay, and you can kind of pat your leg or pat the couch and encourage her up, but not until she understands that it's a privilege. It's not a given.
My thing is her jumping on like Merrick.
But again, let's not go too many places with this, because before we know it, we're correcting our dog for like a million different things.
My thing is right now jumping on people.
Yep, humans. That's all we're going to worry about this week. Yep. So again, the timing is, this is the paw, this is the human, obviously. No. Tap.
That was more towards him. That was more towards him.
What?
He was more concerned about the furniture, and I'm saying no, I'm more concerned about people.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we got plenty of sessions left, so we'll get them all out of the way. Don't you worry.